Coming up next is pure magic. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to Sputnick. Magic, illusion, or sorcery. When I first saw our next guest perform, my jaw was literally hanging open in wonderment. He was a guest at a private party, so it was up close and personal. Nowhere obvious to hide, no capacity to deceive. It was, quite simply, magic.
Imagine our surprise then on discovering that the Merseyside maestro is not just an illusionist, but a man of faith too. He's recently published a book about faith, The Ultimate Magic, The Real McCoy.
He's Ian McCoy, author of True Magic, and just like that, he's with us now. Ian, I've got to say this, you are the best in the business, and I don't exclude any of the new kids on the block. I've never seen anything quite like your act on that night. Now, card tricks, mind reading, trickery, magic, illusion, did that stand you in good stead growing up in Liverpool?
Oh yes, it was a marvellous skill to have in Liverpool, you know, so if some of these sort of the hard lads, you know, if they sort of approach you and you sort of show them a bit of magic and give them that sense of wonderment, suddenly the magic spreads joy. So
how did you get into it? I mean, when did you get into it?
I actually remember the actual moment. My parents are Irish. My mum's from Portlaoise in Central Ireland, and when I was 10, we went on our first holiday to Portlaoise, and my mum's hometown. And my mum's uncle, or my great uncle, was a magician, and he showed me a trick with some dice, and he showed me a card trick, and I felt that sense of wonder, and that stayed with me.
It is wonder, isn't it?
Yes.
I use the word wonderment.
Yes.
That's how I felt. I mean, I spent hours afterwards thinking, how could he possibly know that?
But do you practice, or is it a gift?
No. It's to coin an old phrase. It's sort of 70% perspiration and 30% inspiration.
So there's no Blarney stone that you kiss and you can become a magician?
No. I think I don't like to call it show business. Magic is not really show business. It's an art form, really. Yeah. I think to get to a level, it takes a lot of practice.
So I wanted to turn to your book because wonderment.
Yes.
Amazement.
Yes.
That amazement at life.
Yes.
Is a kind of magic, isn't it?
Yes.
Life.
Well, but I became fascinated with that moment when people go, And I started thinking, well, that's a real brain state. That's a real reaction.
Yeah.
You know, that's the magic.
Yeah.
This is trickery, largely. This is magic, when you feel a sense of awe and wonder. And the sense of awe and wonder it's not to do with me. Yeah. It's inherent in the human being. And what I think I've discovered is that, and we know it's true, that human beings are the only creatures that, as far as we know, experience wonder and awe. So that's where that was my beginning point. What is that moment? What is that? It's quite a pure moment of existence, really. And what I discovered, after studying, I discovered that there is something physical going on. And then when the person surrenders, gives up, because what's happening is, because the brain is a bit like a computer, although it's far more than a computer, we have a desire to know.
Yeah.
The human brain wants answers, okay? And what happens in a good magic trick is, in a split second, the brain is saying, what just happened? And it goes through the files in a second. And when it reaches a point where it goes, I don't know what just happened, that's when that...
It's the equivalent of laughter for a comedian, or applause for a performer of other kinds.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you were looking for open mouths, you certainly found them at our table.
Yes.
You spend your life making people go...
Yes, and it's a marvellous thing. And it's not about, in fact, a lot of my book is about ego, but it's not about my ego. I love to see the wonder in other people as they experience the magic.
But then your book links it to God, mind, God, and consciousness.
All I'm arguing, I'm arguing that consciousness is the most, the primal reality, and that that has a relationship to mind and to the perennial philosophy, which is basically, you can use the concept of God, or it could be Allah, or Brahma, or Buddha consciousness, or the source, or Plotinus called him the one, or it's all the idea of a
creator,
of a consciousness with a capital C. Or in terms of Einstein, I'm a great fan of Einstein, although I'm not a scientist. You know, people like Richard Dawkins, the atheistic sort of naturalists who argue Einstein was... No, Einstein believed in a deist God. He believed in an intelligence. And he always referred to the intelligence that he was trying to understand.
And he was the cleverest man ever. I always say, as myself a religious believer, I know it's far-fetched what I believe, but what you believe is more far-fetched. If you think all this happened by accident, gaze up at the stars and think of the billions, trillions of stars you can't even see. Look into your baby's eyes, hear Pavarotti sing, watch Ian McCoy perform. If you think all this just happened from the swamp, all by random accident, that's more far-fetched.
It's actually naive. It's actually theism, as I like to call it, this belief in a God. Theism makes far more sense scientifically than atheism. Far more sense. And getting back to what you just said, I think I opened the last summary chapter of the book by talking about what you just said. Have you ever been out, say in my case, I live close to Wales, Liverpool's close to Wales, you go to the Welsh countryside where there's no light pollution and you look up and it is awesome.
Totally.
Well, you look in wonder. I remember doing this, and I'm looking in wonder at this. And it's interesting because when I went through my atheist stage, when I was a bit of a Marxist, when I graduated in the 80s, maybe you're a bit like that, I don't know, but Marxism is a very atheistic way of looking at the world because it's based on philosophical naturalism or logical positivism. And my dad was a strong Roman Catholic, you know, and my dad was... I tried to convince him that God didn't exist.
Oh dear!
And he looked at me, and he's Scouser, you know. He's Northern Ireland Scouser, so he drags me by the neck. I'm 24 years old. He takes me outside, and he says, "Look up," and he said, McAlpine is a big building firm in Liverpool. And he looked at the stars, he says, "Who the friggin' hell put them up there? McAlpine."
Very good.
It's interesting because years later, when I became agnostic and then became a theist, I often thought about that story. But as I say in the book, when I experienced that wonder, and then there's a movement from wonder to awe. What's the difference? Wonder is wonder. Awe is tinged with a slight fear, a slight dread, because awe
it's unknown.
Makes you aware of a presence with a capital P.
Show us a trick, Ian.
Yeah, okay, no problem. Right. 2 packs of cards. Okay, and what I've done is I've made a prediction for both packs. Don't open them, just hold them there. Okay, try to hold them. So I've made two predictions. This is isolated from the rest of the pack. This is my European Cup card. I'll get back to that in a second. In other words, there's one red card in there. Okay. The important card.
Okay.
So, relax, both of you. Could you just tell your viewers that we haven't arranged anything, please?
No, I can promise you that, and you know I never tell lies.
Okay. I want you to name a card, and then you name a card. Don't go with the Ace of Spades, because that tends to be commonly picked. So relax, name a card.
Queen of Hearts.
If I told you that I said, you heard me say, don't pick the Ace of Spades.
Yeah.
Because what I did before I came, I went through the cards and I found the Ace of Spades, and all I did was turn over the card next to it to isolate it. just take it out and look at it and show George.
Unbelievable.
So, I'll pay you your £10 later for saying that. And George, what we're going to do with you, with your pack, name your card, sorry, name a card.
Jack of hearts.
Jack of hearts. And again, we haven't arranged anything?
No.
Okay. Right, there's the Jack of hearts, right?
Yep.
And this is a regular deck, right?
Yeah. Seems to be.
Look.
Yeah.
Now, all I'm going to ask you, George, is because these are all blue backed, I did say I had one red back card.
Yeah.
My
The European Cup
champion card.
Yeah.
Look. And they're all different. Can you see one red card?
I do.
Now, this next part is truly, truly amazing, because not only did I know the red card would be the Jack of Hearts. Could you put your hand out? There. Now watch. There's the Jack. Put your hand on top for me, this hand. What would have happened if you'd said another card? Well, the obvious answer is it wouldn't have worked because there was only one red card.
Yeah.
And it's the Jack of Hearts. But say you'd pick, just say stop.
Stop.
Just say you'd picked, take that one. Say you picked that one. What is it? Doesn't matter.
7 diamonds.
Okay, there's the 7 of diamonds. Now, I've got to be very careful here because the magic is very, very strong. I don't know where the cameras are, but George, can you see the 7 of diamonds, George?
Yeah.
Slightly lift your hand. Let me touch the back of the Jack. Put your hand back on, back on. Now, watch the 7. Now, check the Jack.
Now that is magic. You are magic. Ian McCoy, thanks for coming on the Sputnick.
Thank you.